Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Starry Night deck profiles. This is the deck that I was excited the most about in Ghosts from the Past. Unfortunately, when I opened all my boxes, I didn't pull all the cards I needed for this deck, which is why I'm just waiting till now to actually profile the deck for you guys, because I had to wait on to get some cards in to be able to actually profile. But it's a really fun deck, and I really love the concept of it, because it's based on an old school card called Xiaoru, which is a really awesome thing that they made an entire archetype based around this card. It's actually not named Xiaoru in the TCG. It's actually named Starry Night, Starry Dragon, where in the OCG this card is called Starry Night Radiant Xiaoru, which is a very interesting concept and throwback to this really awesome little pink dragon that made its own archetype. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name shirts for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado guys, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Starry Night, Starry Dragon. So you can get away with 2 of these, but I like playing 3 because I want to see this card as quickly as possible. It's a really amazing card, and what it does is if this card is normal or special summon from your hand, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. So you're going to be doing that a lot in this deck. It's a really awesome card just to be able to constantly be popping cards against your opponent. And it also has the ability that it can't be destroyed by battle with a dark monster or by a dark monster's effect. And then once per battle, or excuse me, once per turn at the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's monster, you can banish that opponent's monster until the end phase. Also, this card can make a second attack in a row. So this card can out a lot of cards and is just a really, really powerful card. I love this card and think it's a really, really nice retrain of Xiaoru. We then play 3 copies of the Starry Night Rael. Rael is probably my favorite of all the Starry Nights. It's the Searcher. So when this card is normal summoned, you can add 1 Starry Night spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And you can manage this card from your graveyard to target a Starry Night monster in your graveyard, except another copy of itself, and special summon it. This card literally has no downsides, so you have to play this card as a 3-of. We then play 3 copies of Starry Night Estelle. Estelle is pretty good too, because you can quick effect, target 1 light monster you control, tribute it, and if you do, special summon a level 7 light dragon monster from your hand, and you can manage this card from the graveyard and then target 1 level 7 light dragon monster you control, and it gains 1000 attack, boosting this up to 3500, which is pretty good in this deck. I really like that you can get bigger than 2500, and I have some really neat tech cards in here later on that really make the level 4 aspect really nice. We then play a single copy of Flamel. I just play 1 Flamel. Flamel is not as good as the other ones, but you need to play it as a 1-of because this is a Ties of the Brethren build. And when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send this card from your hand or face up from your field to the grave to special summon 1 light dragon monster from your hand. And then you quick effect, you can manage this card from the grave to target 1 light dragon monster that's level 7 you control on your field and return to your hand. So it's a pretty good card to bounce your own monster back to your hand so you can reuse it with other effects, but it's overall, you just need it as a 1-of. We play a single copy of Honest. Honest is a fairy monster. It's easily searchable in the deck, and it's really, really an awesome card, but you really only need the 1 Honest in this particular build. It's really good to have 1, but you really only need the 1 because you can Ties of the Brethren it out, and then once you Ties of the Brethren this card to your side of the field, you can just return it to your hand, so it's really easy to pop off with this card. 1 copy of the Barrier Statue of the Heavens. So this locks your opponent down into light monsters. We don't really worry about that because the majority of the stuff we're going to be summoning is light anyways, but this really hinders a lot of different decks like your copies or your Dragon Link decks. Anything that's not light, this card just totally shuts down, and they have to deal with this card first. It's kind of like the same concept or the exact same concept as the Storm Winds with the Smorg monster. We then play 2 copies of Condemned Witch. Condemned Witch is really good because it's an additional fairy monster that you can normal summon to grab a hand trap in the form of your Forbidden Chalice or Droplets, whichever one you choose to play in your particular build, but it's a really good normal summon in this deck if you don't have any of the other monsters, and it's just a really, really nice tech. Also, you contribute it to special summon a level 4 fairy monster from your deck, which is also a really, really nice effect because it can get you any of your other monsters, including your Barrier Statue, onto your side of the field. We then play for the last 3 monsters. We're playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom because the Ash Blossom just stops your opponent from all sorts of shenanigans. This card is a 3-of in my particular build because I like stopping my opponent from doing things. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. The Pot of Extravagance are pretty necessary in this particular deck because you don't really care about the extra deck, so the Pot of Extravagance can come in handy. I will say if you're trying to make this deck on a budget, you can drop them if you want to. You can if you want to. You don't have to play them, I guess. You could play an Upstart, a 1 Day of Peace, and another draw card in this position, and it would still work, but they're really nice to help out the deck because you don't super care about the extra deck. You're basically just constantly summoning your Starry Night Dragon to your side of the field and popping cards against your opponent. We then play a single copy of Double or Nothing because we play Utopia Double, and the extra deck in this card is really good in the extra deck to be able to grab into the Utopia Double. It's the only card that we really use in the extra deck because we can put 2 fairies on our side of the field, and conveniently enough, Utopia Double is a light, so it works with our copy of our Barrier Statue, which is really nice because the Barrier Statue locks us into light monsters, so you can make it when your opponent normal summons something that's a lower level to be able, or lower attack points, to just immediately OTK them. We play a single copy of Call by the Grave because it stops our opponent from hand trapping us, which is really nice. And we play 3 copies of Starry Night Balefire. Balefire is the searcher because it lets you add a Starry Night monster or level 7 light dragon monster from your deck to your hand. And then if you control no monsters and your opponent controls a dark monster, then you can special summon the level 7 light dragon from your hand, which is it's pretty good. Like I'm not even gonna lie, this card is ridiculous, and the whole reason that I wanted to build this deck because of Balefire. Balefire is just so good because it's just like if you have any dark monster, which access code, Dragoons, I mean like access code, Dragoons, Borreload, Borreload Savage, Borreload Sword, Borreload, like all of them are like dark, and so it's just, this card is like, the majority of cards in this game are dark, so this deck is usually gonna be live, which is really awesome. We then play 3 copies of Starry Night Ceremony. Starry Night Ceremony is neat because during your main phase, you can reveal 1 light fairy monster in your hand, and if you do, you add a light level 7 dragon monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can place that revealed monster on the bottom of your deck, and if your opponent activates a card or effect, you can special summon 1 level 7 light dragon monster from your hand, and you can only effect this card once per turn. This card is ridiculously good. I like this card in this deck as a 3-up. I would not play this card at any less than 3 because it is just ridiculous. We then play 3 copies of Forbidden Chalice. This can be droplets if you want to increase the price of the deck. If you've already got droplets, play droplets. If you don't, play Chalice. Chalice is just as good in my opinion in this particular build. You're just basically trying to shut your opponent down for at least 1 card. So I just play I play the Chalice on this build because the Chalice is going to be able to decrease or increase the attack of a monster by 400 and negate its effects. So I'm just using this as additional negations in this deck. So it's a good 3-of to me to be able to play it in this position. We then play 3 copies of Ties of the Brethren because you play so many level 4 light fairy monsters in the deck. The only monster you kind of got to be aware of is your copy of your Condemned Witch, because Condemned Witch is not a light monster, so this card does not work with her. You pay 2,000, target a level 4 lower monster you control, and for the rest, turn after this card resolves. You cannot special summon monsters, and except for the 2 monsters this card's going to summon, which you special summon 2 monsters with your deck for the same type, attribute, and level as that monster. So you're honest, any of your Starry Night monsters besides the dragon and your Barrier Statue all fall into the category with this, so it's really easy to pop off with this card. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Starry Night Blast. Now this card I really do not understand. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I don't get why this card was not a counter trap. It says when an opponent's monster activates a card or effect, you return 1 level 7 light dragon monster you control to your hand, then negate the effect, and if you destroy that card. This should have been a counter trap in my opinion. It's a great card, but you can only play it as a 1-of because it's a speed spell like 1. I really don't like it because it's not a counter trap. If this card was a counter trap, I'd play this card at 3 and it would be no hesitation. I would at least play it at 2 if it was a counter trap, but since it's not, I'm just playing it at 1. We then play 3 copies of Starry Night Arrival. Starry Night Arrival is the better of the 2 traps that let you during your main phase. You can target 1 level 7 light dragon monster you control, return it to your hand, or you can special summon a light level 7 dragon monster from your hand. So basically you can flip this card, special summon your Starry Night Dragon, and get a pop on your opponent's side of the field, which is really nice. And then we play 2 summon limits, because summon limit helps you kind of like regulate your opponent where they're not going to summon as much against you. And this card is really good because it's going to stop your opponent from like special summoning 8 times against you, and you can kind of disrupt them on the first special summon because the card does touch the field with your Starry Night Dragon to be able to pop it. And so they're only going to have 1 monster if you pop something else. So this card's pretty good as a 2 of, in my opinion, in this particular deck. I probably wouldn't play it any more than 2 because I don't want to brick with it, but it is a very good option for this deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Utopia. Utopia is really good for the double or nothing plays, so you play this card as a 3 of. We play 2 copies of Utopia Double. Utopia Double, I'm just playing as a 2 of in this build because I'm playing Utopia the Lightning as well. Now, the really neat thing about this card is what it does is you detach a material from this card, then you summon Utopia on top of it. It goes to 5,000. You add double or nothing from your deck to your hand. The Utopia comes out at the 5,000. You swing, you detach a material from Utopia, drop the double or nothing and attack for 10,000. But if you draw the Utopia double, or you draw the double or nothing to your hand off of something like an extravagance, it's really dead. So you play the copy of the Utopia the Lightning. I just play 1 Lightning because usually I don't draw into the combo piece, but this is just kind of my emergency play that, hey, I've got the Lightning if I need it, if I've already drawn into it. You can actually summon this card using a rank 4 Utopia monster you control, so you can use Utopia Double as a material because it says Utopia in the name. So I might start playing Utopia the Lightning in decks that I play Utopia Double in the build, because this card kind of helps me if I draw into that 1 combo piece. I have an additional way to go if I have the extra space in the extra decks. This card's a really good 1 of. I wouldn't probably play it any more than 1 because I'm mainly going for this play instead of the actual Lightning play. Lightning is kind of like my emergency button if I draw into double or nothing. We then play a single copy of Tornado Dragon because it gives us additional pops, which is really nice. 1 copy of Exton Knight because it is a light monster, so this card comes in kind of handy because it can be summoned under the barrier statue. And then Double A Zeus because it is I mean, being honest, it's a light deck. You can summon this card really easily. If you want to change it out, you can play another Lightning. If you want to play another Lightning, if you're trying to, again, make this deck on a budget, you can drop this and play another Lightning and be okay. Like, it's not the end-all, be-all if you don't have the copy of the Double A Zeus. Just like some of the Link monsters, it's not the end-all, be-all of the deck. As long as you have the core of the deck, you should be okay. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code, again, you can change out for Borreload if you want to change it out for a Borreload, but it just gives additional pops, which is why I play it as a 1 of. You can play 1 copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, because it's easy to put level 7s on the field, and plus it came out with Ghost from the past, so I figured why not throw it in here. You can change this out if you want to for another Link monster, like a copy of Boral Sword is another option for you guys, or Trisbania is another option if you want to change it out for Topologic Trisbania. You play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn because it gives us spins on the field. 1 copy of Phoenix because it can pop spells or traps. 1 copy of Hippo Shinnigan because the deck is light, so this card's really good at boosting our monsters' attack points. And then a single copy of Masquerena. Now, I will mention, you guys, if you don't want to play the BLS, you can play Cerberus, and if you don't want to play your copy of Access Code, you can play Borreload, and if you don't want to play Zeus, you can play another Lightning, and you'd be fine. Again, it's an extravagance build. It's likely that you're going to banish a lot of these cards. You're basically playing from the main deck, so these are helpful, but the main ones I'm playing are the Utopia ones, so you can interchange it out just a little bit. You can tweak the extra deck if there's something you don't have. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck. I hope to do some stuff with this deck on the channel, maybe some live duels with this deck. Eventually, it's a really neat deck. I love the concept. I really like the way that it plays, because it's really, really fun the way it plays, because you're constantly just like summoning the dragon, returning the dragon, popping something, and then keep bouncing back and forth with the dragon is just really, really cool. It reminds me a little bit of Insectors in a way, how the Insectors could use its effect multiple times and just pop again and again and again, which is what's really cool. And you can just constantly be summoning this card and popping like every single turn. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.